Trigonometrical is also a system to help us to work out a missing or unknown side length or angles. Mostly this trigonometric is work on in a triangle. In trigonometry, we have two types of triangle, which is right angle triangle and non-right angle triangle. If want to find a unknown length for right angle triangle, we have to use the basic function of the trigonometrical, which is sin, cos and tan. Whenever we use a calculator, when identify the sin, cos and tangent. When we use shift sin, we get shift -1, and when we use shift cos, we get shift cos, we get cos -1, and also same goes to when we use shift tan, we get a tangent -1. For when we use a non-right triangle, we use sine rules and cosine rules. The reciprocals of this function we call as cosecant, cotangent and also secant. They are named like that because respectively the sine, tangent and secant of the complementary angle are abbreviated to co. Literally, what is about trigonometric? Trigonometric is a word from Greek which is called trigonon, has triangle, and metron is measure, is called branch in a branch of mathematics that studies relationship between side length and angle of triangle. The trigonometrical function that we use for doing a calculation, which is for sin, opposite divided by hypotenuse, for cos, adjacent divided by hypotenuse, for tangent, opposite divided by adjacent. That we easily remind as sa, ka, twa. Okay, this is from me. Thank you. Trigonometry may not have application in solving a problem which is directly, but that is trigonometry that we can use in our daily life, which means for the engineerings, at least they need to know the basics of trigonometrics, and also the knowing how to solve the problems by using trigonometrics functions and the methods. Trigonometry in a daily life, when we use for the construction, the mostly when we use for installing a roof construction, which is trigonometric use determining the angle of placements of trusses and appropriated to rafters or placed, which is the length. Also for the cosine is used to calculate the angle of which is the rafter should be cut and placed for the maximum support for the installation of roof construction, are mostly when we use for the building construction.
How is math used in civil engineering? A civil engineer uses nearly every form of math at one point in time to do her job. Algebra is used on a daily basis, and many engineers will have to deal with differential equations, statistics, and calculus occasionally. A good portion of a civil engineer's time is not spent doing math, but when the time comes, civil engineers have to be very comfortable with all the forms of math, especially those that deal with physics. Civil engineers have to use math equations that are derived from chemistry on a daily basis. Chemistry's equations are used to measure the strength of materials, and engineers must use this equation to select the right material of a project. Civil engineers use trigonometry often when surveying a structure. Surveying deals with land elevations as well as the various angles of structure. Is trigonometry needed for engineering? In addition to engineering geometry, trigonometry is one of the more usual maths for engineers. By applying the principle of trigonometry, engineers can calculate such data as the height of an existing structure, the measurement of angle, or the distance between 2 points.
Trigonometry is not just a subject to be studied in a classroom with no real-world practical application. Engineers of various types use the fundamental of trigonometry to build structure or system, design bright and solve scientific problems. Trigonometry means the study of the triangle. It is further used to find the angle of a triangle when the length of the side are known, or finding the length of two sides when the angle and one of the side length are known. Once all the measurements of the triangle are known, the engineer can begin building and define the scope of the project he or she is undertaking.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I want to continue with the calculation trigonometry. First of all, we want to find the hypotenuse and the degree. The formula we use to find the hypotenuse is a square plus b square equals to c equals to c square. A is 11 square plus b is 23.50 square equals to c. 11 square equals to 121 and b and 23.50 square equals to 552.25 equals to 664.25. Don't forget about the square root. And yes, the answer for the hypotenuse is 25.947. For the degree, we use the formula of the tangent equals to opposite per adjacent. This is our opposite and this is our adjacent. We just fill in the formula. O equals to 11 and A equals to 23.50. Don't forget about the tan, -1. And the last answer is 25.08. Alright, thank you.
At the end of the lesson, students can find out the trigonometry is always used in a certain part of work. Not only that, students also need to know that trigonometry is important in a job because it can solve the problem encountered in the job.